This is the Total Perspective Vortex. I'm Tragula.
And I'm Christian.
And it's July 9th, 2020. Christian, it's Thursday already. Another week is is almost done.
That's right. Almost the weekend. Past hump day.
Yeah, and we're on iTunes now. Or I guess they call it the Apple Podcast Store.
Right. It's no longer... I don't know the rebranding, but yes, that's right. So, hey, good news for us, good news for fans. Listen to it on the go.
Stitcher and Spotify as well, and other places coming.
Good stuff.
So, I just wanted to start today with Kanye West. He's been running for president, and he actually had this, he was interviewed several times on Thursday, and he had this, there's this great excerpt from his interview on the Democrats, on why he's running, because he apparently really hates the Democrats at this point. Christian, you want to read this?
Yeah, so... that is a form of racism and white supremacy and white control to say that all black people need to be Democrat and to assume that me running is me splitting the vote. All of that information is being charged up on social media platforms by Democrats. And Democrats used to tell me, the same Democrats have threatened me, the reason why this is the first day I registered to vote is because I was scared. I was told that if I vote on Trump, my music career would be over. I was threatened into being in one party. I was threatened as a celebrity into being in one party. I was threatened as a black man into the Democratic Party. And that's what the Democrats are doing emotionally to my people, threatening them to the point where this white man can tell a black man, if you don't vote for me, you're not black.
Oof. Yeah. Oof is right. I actually that sentiment resonates with me. And, there's going to be, I think, lots of people on the left running cover and saying, oh, no, it's not really like that. We're open. But people know now. It's abundantly clear the rampant tribalism on the left. And it's something that I encountered, and I had my sort of wake up moment with the atheist movement back in 2011. I was big into the skepticism, atheism community at that point, and I liked it because I could express different ideas, and we could talk about them and hash them out, and people might be picking up at this point that I'm a kind of person who's really into ideas. So I love that, and so I love that freedom. And there was also sort of like the arrogance of being against religion as well. So you can own the creationists. And I was into that part, and I thought, all the world needs to be more scientific and rational, and the world will be a better place. But then I discovered then an event called Elevator Gate happened, where one prominent individual within the atheist movement got into. She was at an elevator. She was at a convention. She got into an elevator, and she was propositioned on the elevator by a man. It was 4 a.m, and nothing came of it. She just said no, and it was over. But she used that as evidence that there was sexism, that the atheist community was filled with sexism, right? And this may this pattern may be more apparent to people in 2020. This thing that I saw that was strange to me at the time, right? And it fractured the community. And I thought, well, it's like. And there, what really struck me is all these people, like a community that was centered about being rational, was clearly exposed at having irrational underpinnings.
Right.
Because we couldn't have that emotionally detached conversation, even though that's what we were supposed to be about. And that's gave me a crisis of faith in my atheism at that point. Right. And this is sort of what set me on this track to find a foundation for humanism, because I still consider myself a secular humanist. But now I would say I'm a foundational humanism, because a foundational humanist, because I feel like I found that foundation, that connection between the subjective and objective that can move the conversation forward. But I was exactly where I think Kanye is in a lot of these respects, because I saw these same sort of, I felt the same sort of threats. Conform to our lies, or we'll throw you out of the tribe, right?
Right.
Right. And for me at the time, it was like, we're supposed to be out about truth. Why do you want me to conform to your lies? Like, this is, and they're given sort of rationales. Oh, you just have to avoid this topic, or don't talk about this so much. And you want to conform, you want to be part of the group, so you're willing to do that a little bit. But the asks get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? There's more things you can't talk about. There's more things that there's more untruths that you have to accept and you have to parrot when you start going down that road of this sort of this extreme tribalism. And that's what I think what Kanye is seeing. And maybe he's not like he's not seeing the Democrats as this font of truth, maybe, but maybe more something along of justice. Or, you know, with this concept of social justice that we could do a whole episode on that. We could probably do a whole podcast
series
on that. But I think, yeah. So a lot of these feelings that he's resonating, like I resonate with me, because I felt the same way, and I felt the same sort of disillusionment, like being told that you can lose your job or your livelihood because you don't parrot these talking points. I'm sure a lot of people are feeling that way now. Right. It'll hurt your career if you talk about these things. You know, you're threatened to be part of the party, be part of the mob, right? Be part of the group, and you see these sort of tactics. Like it's not alien to the left, right? This idea of
not, yeah.
Yeah, well, but you see it in other places too, like unions.
Yep.
For example, is a classic, like a classic situation where, you know, if you're a scab, if you're also not working, on the left, you're not working. And it's interesting to me, this whole thing, because like I've talked before, the left is where you see that the idea of the just imagine, John Lennonism.
John Lennonism,
yeah. Where you actually have, you know, like the imagine no religion. What's the other one? No countries, no religion. And I was like, oh, there's others, but it's there's another one is later down the song list, because I actually looked at the lyrics at some point. But it's like no religion, no countries. But really, what he really wants to do is break down these sort of barriers, these tribes that he feels are causing division. So we need to flatten the playing field. But then you see like leftists do this other thing where they're extremely tribal. And they're extremely tribal, I think, a lot about the wrong things. So here's something else I find. So they know how to play these tribal games, and they're really good at it. And one of the things that they really do is character assassination. Right. So that's what cancel culture is really about. We'll find some way that you slipped up, and we'll magnify it to a millionth degree.
Right.
And then we will destroy your reputation. And we will force people to disown you, or they'll also be disowned from the tribe. They'll also be kicked out of the tribe. So, or they'll lose their status in the tribe unless they also denounce you. So they'll find this character assassination thing. And I'm saying it's a women's weapon because it's something you see like in girls' social circles used a lot. Right. And they know about these cool girl tactics. And this is the same sort of thing that the left uses. Is the cool girl tactics is employed heavily in cancel culture, and with the Dems trying to hold their racially tribal voting bloc together, right? Is that they enforce the tribalism using these social pressure mechanisms.
And I've seen that in my life as well. And just to kind of piggyback on your point, I also come from the left, and for me that was my wake up call when I started asking questions I shouldn't, and then saying that those questions are foolish or whatever, and you start noticing the bullying tactics of the left. So I thought they were the loving whatever, but as soon as you're out of line, the tribalism is aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and the tribalism is different on the right and the left. Like what they choose to enforce tribally, like what's the othering thing. So this is something that the left is clearly against. I've put up like the Beach Body Ready campaign. I don't know if
there's, especially now that we're going to be doing podcasts as well. So there's a good-looking woman in kind of the traditional kind of model shape, and it says, are you beach body ready? And it's a weight loss kind of ad. So
yeah,
take it away.
It's a bright yellow ad. This was a controversy about 2 years ago, and as a result, people started defacing these ads, saying that it was putting unfair beauty standards on people. And and because of that, they banned the use of beautiful women in UK advertisements because of this. Because
they should also do something similar, but with their teeth. Like if the teeth are too nice, maybe in the UK, it's not going to happen there. So I get,
unfair beauty standards. Yeah.
Unfair standards. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to let that one stick for a while. But my point is that they reject the social enforcement of goals or standards, right? Because that's, again, it's that whole judging thing, right? The hierarchy. So they don't want it's the same thing as tearing down statues. If you're tearing down beautiful women that people would want to aspire to look more like.
Right.
So and the same, like if you go even farther back, like with the Leave It to Beaver, Ward Cleaver, June Cleaver type family, atomic family unit there, the same sort of attack on this sort of standard for things, right? So it's not, and they'll say, well, I can't reach that standard. That standard doesn't apply to me. So but that dissolves the whole sort of community door or any sort of standard. So they don't want to enforce that sort of the sort of tribalism around aspirations or the tribe uniting around some sort of goal or something, trying to achieve something. They are going to heavily use tribal conformity, cool girl tactics to enforce their lies and enforce the one message, right? So it's a different kind of conformity that they want to enforce. It's like we all have to act as one in not excelling, if that makes sense, and in not aligning with the truth, or not maybe not aligning with the truth, but also not having standards.
Right. I think the analogy that you drew between this and the statues, I think you're on point there, and particular with regards to standards and evaluating yourself against these or judging yourself against these individuals. It's like they hate that. So because you can get that beach body. You just have to work out a lot and dedicate your diet to it, right? It's not impossible standards.
Well, some people can't, right?
Some people can't. That's true.
That's true, but that doesn't mean that people shouldn't aspire to do the best that they can as an individual.
The best version of yourself. Right?
Yes, yeah, and that's like if we're getting back to my philosophy, like that's why the relationship with God is individual, is deeply personal, because it's the best version of yourself is what you're trying to aspire towards. And everyone has their own limitations, their own exceptions, their own situation. So they have to build that personal bridge to God, right? Yeah, so one more thing I just wanted to bring up on that, and now I feel like I wanted to slide it somewhere else in here, but I want to talk about ideological loyalty signaling, or virtue signaling, as people generally call it.
Us rubes.
Us rubes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it rolls off the tongue, and like it's a nice sort of has a nice flavor as a set of words.
It does.
And
it's nice on the palate.
And it serves the purpose of identifying a certain behavior that people see. So people have an understanding what virtue signaling is now. It's when people announce things often on social media, or companies do things. But I think where people go wrong, and why I want to sort of change the name, I don't disagree with it, is because it has nothing to do with virtue. It has more to do with loyalty. So it's really loyalty signaling. And in that sense, it has much more to do with like the kneeling the politicians were doing to Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Right. It's demonstrating loyalty, but it's a specific kind of loyalty. I think generally it's ideological loyalty.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this ideological loyalty is that you're demonstrating your loyalty to the ideology over the truth, usually. That these ideas shouldn't be questioned, and to question them is wrong. Like, to actually challenge them or say something, even if it's self-evident and true, it's irrelevant. The priority is to the ideology and the preservation of the ideology.
Well, one simple example of that is if you're not using the right language when you're doing your virtue signaling, even though you might have the virtue, if you're not using up-to-date, evangelical progressivist language, then, they'll ding you. So famously, there's that one woman who used, she didn't use people of color. She used the swapped version of that, but she was making those virtue points. But since they're not, since the terminology wasn't ideologically aligned with, the most modern progressive terms, she got dinged for it, and she got into a lot of trouble.
So this is what I'm getting at, right? Because I think
that's the distinction.
Well, no, but more. I want to dig into this because you started using the virtue. What is the virtue? What is the virtue that they're signaling?
In this particular case, so the I don't know. It was some support of
but that's my point. Is like
some racial group, right?
So people are talking about being a good person, like they say, oh yeah, I'm a good person because I'll support this cause or something. But a cause is not a virtue. A cause is not a character trait. A cause is not some way that you self-improve. Do you see the difference there? And this is why this is a shell game of the left that I'm trying to draw people's attention to, is that virtues are important because the moral system, the ethics that I'm trying to proponent are virtue based. When you get up to that sort of demigod, God, like pantheon of God stage of that, like that's where you see the virtues really shine. Is like you have this path through life that you're following, and it's based on the virtues that you're going to choose to display. So, and virtues are part of your character, part of who you are. I am trying to be an honest person. I'm trying to be a courageous person. Well, I'm trying to be an industrious person. These are all virtues. Right. Supporting a cause is not virtuous.
Could it be argued that you're trying to? I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
it becomes tricky. Yeah,
and that's why it's not virtue signaling. And this is what the left thinks. All you have to do is support our cause. Right? You have to mouth the words, and then you're a good person. That's right. It has nothing to do with your character.
Your moral, yeah.
And it's the fact that you're mouthing the ideology. That's what they say makes you a good person. And this is the game that you have to watch out for, because if we have a society of people who are good just because they mouth the words, then we have a society without character. We have a society without virtue.
Right. It's a veneer of some kind.
Yes. Right. Because actually building character and displaying and building character and displaying virtue, like, and not just displaying, but actually living it out is hard work. It's not easy.
Right.
You have to make hard choices. And that's what they rail against. Like, and the virtue, like, and they rail against true virtues, right? So like this, the woman, the beach body ready woman, she's displaying a virtue of beauty and health.
Right.
And they reject that because they see it as oppressive.
Self-sacrifice, there's so much going on there, right? To have a physique like that.
So this is why I sort of want to take that language back and say it's ideological loyalty signaling, not virtue signaling. It has nothing to do with virtue.
Right.
And I think that's a good place to end the episode.
Is that right? Okay. Well, everyone, share, like, subscribe, and I guess if we're on iTunes now, give us the old 5 stars.
And Stitcher and
if you feel
Spotify.
So inclined.
But
Spotify,
yeah. And but I just want to say, and sharing is the big thing. This is how we're going to grow. I think the algorithms will suppress us and suppress our wrong think. But if we actually, if people can share this on the grassroots, find an episode you like, find an episode that you think might resonate with someone you know, and share it with them.
I should also mention that we are taking audience questions, so leave your entries in the YouTube comments, and we'll have a look. And if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them on our Friday Mailbag Day. What are we calling it? What is it? It's not Friday Mailbag Day.
Listener question. Friday listener question.
Yeah, Friday Mailbag Day.
FLQ. We're taking it back.
FLQ. Yeah, right.
All right. Have a great time, guys. Take care, guys.
Cheers.